Chris, I'm red in the face
I see
because
that.
I was at minicamp day 2 and it was hot as outside. Let me tell you, down there in Charlotte. But we do have something sweet and special for the fans, though, Chris.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get this sucker started.
Get dialed in, Panthers fans. Here comes an in-depth look at your team. Exclusive interviews. Locker room insight. Let's huddle up for Panthers Playbook. Here are your hosts, Dennis Cox and Chris Lea.
Welcome back to another episode of Panthers Playbook. That's Chris Lea, Dennis Cox here with you. Leave your thoughts in the comment section about who is going to make the biggest leap from last year to this year. Last year to this year, who makes the biggest jump? And one of those people that we might hear in the comment section or see in the comment section, Chris, is Jalen Coker, the second-year wide receiver, undrafted guy out of Holy Cross. And guess what, Chris? We have a one-on-one conversation with said Jalen Coker exclusively for you all here on Panthers Playbook today.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about him later as well. But I've been seeing in the comments, people think we've been leaving him out a little bit. So he's going to get a little love today.
He is. He's been on the show before multiple times.
Yeah.
We're big fans of Jalen Coker. And
Yes, we are.
And being down there at practice, I went to Wednesday's day 2 of training, mini camp. And Adam Thielen had a vet day. Tepper McMillan did not practice because the team said that he had, even Canales said it as well, that he had a collision with the defensive back going for the ground. He kind of got kicked in the leg. There was some swelling. So just as a precaution, like, you know what, just going to leave him out. So, and obviously no Jimmy Horn Jr. still dealing with an injury himself. So 3 receivers, McMillan, Thielen, Jimmy Horn Jr. didn't practice on Wednesday, which guess what? That means more reps for Coker, David Moore, Hunter Renfro, Xavier Legette. Those 4 guys were featured a lot. And I will say this, from watching Jalen Coker in person, Chris, and I'm going to show some clips of the video I was able to take at practice throughout this episode. He looked quicker. Like, he looked like he leaned down a little bit. He looked quicker. I was like, yeah, I could. The hype for him, it's justified. It's real, Chris.
Are we talking about him now?
Yeah, we are. We're talking about him right now.
But I just want to I didn't know if we were going to wait till, the conversation.
Well, but we'll get to the conversation a little bit later on. But I'm just trying to think of, year 2 for him, year 2 for Bryce and everyone in this offense and all the continuity that we've talked about. We'll hear from Canales and Chuba Hubbard, but I could see why he's going to take a big leap.
I'm excited for Jalen Coker for a myriad of reasons. One, he was, almost like a godsend last year.
Yeah.
He had a stretch of time where, Adam Thielen was hurt. XL hadn't quite, found himself and his way yet. Deontay Johnson, started off pretty well. And then, towards the end of his tenure, kind of tailed off for the Carolina Panthers. So there was a hole in the middle of the year in the wide receiver room. And Jalen Coker was able to fill that. And he stepped up and looked really good as an undrafted wide receiver that should have been drafted. I don't like you. So
deep. It was a deep wide receiver class.
It was a deep class for sure. And I think maybe if it was another year, maybe he's a 5th or 6th rounder. I don't like to hold the fact that he's an undrafted wide receiver against him, right? Because probably should have been drafted. But again, as you said, very deep class. This guy has all the tools, and he was somebody that had excited Steve Smith even before the Carolina Panthers signed him as an undrafted free agent, just because of, what he's able to do, his route running, things like that. Not the biggest guy, not the quickest guy, I should say, is a big guy though.
Yeah.
That is an impressive guy, but not the quickest guy, but one of the guys that can get open simply because of his route running. And now you're saying he's gotten a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
My goodness. It's going to be exciting to see him on the field this year with Tet on the other side, with Jimmy Horn on the other side, with Hunter Renfro, whoever is going to be on there with him. It's going to be cool seeing that.
There's going to be a lot of competition in that wide receiver group. It's much deeper just because of, again, continuity. And we've talked about this a lot, Chris, from the standpoint, and we're going to hear Dave Canales and Chuba Hubbard here in just a second. And I asked, let's go right into it, Chris. I asked Dave Canales about, for him, how vital is it to have all your offensive linemen back, including the depth guys? You have your, 4 of your top receivers back from last year. You have 2 of your top tight ends back from last year. You got Chuba Hubbard. You got Bryce Young. But most importantly, I asked him this, Chris. it's the second time or first time in his career that Dave Canales as a play caller is going to have the same quarterback back-to-back years. Like, that's a big thing for a play caller as well. Here's what Dave Canales had to say about those very things, about that continuity.
It's huge because you come into the offseason and we're not teaching words. You know, for the first 3 weeks, the last 2 years in Tampa, then here last year, you're teaching language, you're teaching vocabulary. And so we come into the spring starting there. Then now we could do is dig into formations, different personnels, where the guys understand the concepts of what we're doing. And now it can be more attacking and more versatile.
Chris, it feels like Dave Canales understands that he has an opportunity to really grow, and this offense really has an opportunity to grow. And like he said, hey, I'm not teaching words now. We can actually have conversations, essentially, is what we're saying. And that's exciting. And I'm not going to lie, watching the offense on day 2 of minicamp, Chris, you could see that chemistry that we saw last year. It carried over. It really did. And you hope these young guys continue to elevate.
It was cool reading tweets from up here in Durham and seeing what people are saying about the Carolina Panthers, how they look on offense and things like that, and how in the red zone drill, just, you know, it looked like Bryce Young was unstoppable and XL was his man.
He like back-to-back plays. Like he threw a touchdown. He threw a touchdown to Xavier Legette. He had like a 2-point conversion play where he actually had to fit it in a real tight window. And speaking of Legette, made the catches with his hands and secured like clean catches, not easy catches, but made them clean. He also had a nice slant route where he threw to David Moore as well. Like, again, that chemistry, you saw it carry over from last year.
Here's the other thing that I like hearing about Bryce Young is, you know, day 1 of minicamp, it felt like the big theme was all the trash talk going on between the offense and defense, and that Bryce Young was a part of it. We know that Chuba and JC like to talk, and that's good. And, you know, you remember the old days where Cam and TD, Thomas Davis, would go back and forth with each other. I kept seeing, you know, Bryce Young is talking. Bryce Young is going back and forth, and even Dave Canales said he likes seeing that. He's a staunch competitor. He's somebody with some edge that we may not necessarily see, and he feels like that is a show of how much more confident Bryce Young truly is. You got to think about, you know, we've brought this up this whole time. He comes in the NFL to the worst team in the NFL, right? And supposed to be this all-star, coaching staff. He came into a train wreck, came into an offensive line that, couldn't hold anything for him. And he comes into year 2, everything's new already. And even though he didn't have a bad rookie year, he just didn't have anything around him. He came in with his head all completely messed up and out of place. And to go through what he went through and to end the year the way he did. And now it feels like he's taking ownership of the Carolina Panthers starting quarterback job. This is mine.
Yeah.
I am their quarterback going forward. It feels like he's finally taking those reins. And so we'll see what happens in actual games. But everything that I'm reading, everything I'm hearing from the Carolina Panthers, it sounds like Bryce Young has taken that next step as a leader, and hope his game follows as well.
And also we have to keep in mind is this, and speaking, we're actually going to hear from Chuba Hubbard here in a second. I even mentioned this to Chuba Hubbard. This is the first time in his career where he's had the same head coach and coordinator for back-to-back years. He was drafted in 2021. Remember, Matt Rule's the head coach. Joe Brady was offensive coordinator. Joe Brady got fired during the season.
Yeah.
Then the next year, it's Matt Rule, and there's Ben McAdoo. Rule gets fired early in the year. Steve Wilkes takes over, so it's a whole different philosophy change. Then the aforementioned Frank Reich era, if we want to call it that. We had that with Thomas Brown.
Good 11 games.
Yeah, all 11 of them. And then last year he had Canales and Brad Idzik. This year again, it's Brad Idzik, offensive coordinator, Dave Canales, head coach. Yeah. Dave Canales, obviously the one driving that train. How much is this going to benefit him? We saw him have his best year last year. And I asked Chuba Hubbard about that. Here's what he had to say.
The last 4 years I've been here, it's been a new head coach, new scheme, new system. So to build off what we had last year, which I believe was really good, and to kind of build off that chemistry, I mean, we see it out here. Just the way we're practicing, the way we trust each other, the way we're communicating, it's starting to show. So just the more we practice, the more we play, it's just the closer we're going to get and the better we're going to get.
Chris, I'm excited to see what this offense can do. I really am. And the stuff that I saw at minicamp day 2, I saw a better Xavier Legette. Even though he had that little bit of like the foot thing, I guess, on day 1 on Tuesday, practiced fully on Wednesday, made a couple really nice grabs, using his hands, actually climbed the ladder for a one-handed catch on the sideline during like individual drills and such. I understand, keep all this in a grain of salt, that they're not wearing pads. So this is not full contact and all those kinds of things. We have to keep those things in mind. But I saw a quicker Legette, and Hunter Renfrow looked like, hey, you know what? You need 6, 7, 8, 10 yards. Here's Hunter Renfrow. Like, he looked like the Hunter Renfrow that we've seen on television for all these years. There's going to be a lot of competition. I'm really excited to see where this offense goes. But Chris, there was someone on defense who popped out to me today.
Can I say something on Xavier?
Go on. Yes, please. Go on.
You were talking about his catches, and man, the biggest catch that Xavier Legette has gotten recently is Glorilla.
Let's go.
Like, this man is a superstar now.
Let's go.
He's in music videos doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear those two have a conversation. Have you ever heard of Glorilla? Have you heard her talk before?
I actually really haven't. I've only heard of music, really.
Okay, so even that word, she wouldn't say music. She's from Memphis. She would say music. She says beautiful. Oh, you think I'm beautiful? You like my music?
I just,
you think I'm
that's
beautiful?
all I
like
need.
my music? You so cute. That's the way she would say it, right? Seriously. And think about her and Xavier Legette talking.
Love it.
Having a conversation. Oh man, Glorilla. I feel you. I love that song when you on there, you were doing that thing, man. You were rapping and you saying, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Back in Mullen. All right, keep going. We got to talk about defense.
So, yes, defense has had an overhaul. By the way, Cam Jackson, Bobby Brown, massive individuals. So you see them in person, you're like, oh, y'all are different. But there's a player that really
video, they look extra big.
Yeah, in person, goodness. But there's a player that stood out to me on day 2 of camp.
Okay.
Trayvon Merrick. And I say he stood out in a really, really good way. He had an interception on Bryce Young early on in practice. But what was he known for coming in? Someone who can make plays at the line of scrimmage, and especially in the run game. There's a couple times where he came up towards the line of scrimmage and snuffed out a run play and was right there at the line of scrimmage, or like a couple yards in there, which would have been a tackle. Obviously, they're not wearing pads, so, no contact and all those kinds of things. But the fact that he's recognizing those plays, it's like, when's the last time we had that? I thought to myself, like, when's the last time you had a safety that could...
We had Jeremy Chin.
Oh, yeah, Jeremy Chin. That's right.
We did have
exactly.
Jeremy Chin.
But we haven't seen, obviously, Jeremy Chin in a couple of seasons. But I noticed that about him. And there's also... So that was very exciting for me. I was like, okay, he was one of your big investments this offseason. I'm excited to see what this guy can do. But there's also a guy, a 5th-round pick last year, Shaw Smith-Wade, getting a lot of rave reviews this offseason. And Chris, seeing it again, you and I have had conversations with him in the past as well. And it's like, yeah, that guy really has taken a step up, like really has elevated his game. And right now, he's slotted to be the slot corner, to be that nickel corner in sub packages. And I think this could be a big time find for Dan Morgan in the 5th round from last year.
There's a lot of smart people that cover the Carolina Panthers, and I follow them. And so when I can't be down there in Charlotte myself, I'm taking stock of what they're saying. Who stands out? Who are they tweeting about? And then if they like them enough to where they come up in questions to other players, and those other players are talking about them, it felt like it was a love fest from J.C. Horn talking about Shaw Smith-Wade.
Yeah.
And he also came up a few times in OTAs as well, because he made some plays on the field that looked really good. And now they're saying, like, he's making calls out there. JC is like, he can stand out on his island. He doesn't have to come in for the huddle because he trusts Shaw Smith-Wade to get him to call. His communication has stepped up. He's reading things a lot faster now. And also they're saying he can play a little bit of safety if they need him to do that, corner and nickel. Listen, like, you always want, we already have our list of players. We've talked about it. Like, who do we expect to take that next step? Who do we expect to have however many yards or whatever for the Carolina Panthers? It's always the players that you don't expect that's going to help this team get the wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have somebody like Shaw Smith-Wade step up. He had a big interception last year. What if he's responsible for 3 turnovers this year?
Yeah.
And a couple of big, drive-ending tackles or drive-ending,
pass breakup.
Pass breakups. If Shaw Smith-Wade can take that step and start to look like a really good number 3 option and maybe even somebody that can possibly push for Michael Jackson's job, man, the Panthers defense will definitely take the next step, because it's not just about the obvious guys. It's about the guys that's not so obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to get that type of impact from a 5th round pick from last year, who's taking a step up from his rookie year, that's a great sign right there.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you said. Great find for Dan Morgan in the draft.
And you know what? Who was a great find? It wasn't even drafted. Like you said, Chris, it was Jalen Coker out of Holy Cross. Let's go ahead and get to that conversation. Jalen, we talked to you a lot last year at different times, but now you're going into year 2. How much do you take from last year, and how does that make things easier this year? Like, because you know what to expect. You already know what the offense is. How much have you grown, you feel like, going from end of last year, even just to this summer?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is playbook. I mean, I'm able to understand it and not only know where to line up, but now I got more time to look at the coverage, kind of see how I'm going to run my routes, kind of the game within the game is kind of starting to start for me. So then just, knowing my teammates, feeling comfortable out there. Like you said, I've done it. So it's fun to come out and know exactly what you're doing and execute at a high level.
How much just having that chemistry with Bryce and just the other receivers in the room, knowing where guys are going to be and just knowing the offense, just that chemistry, you guys, just that second nature of knowing where you guys are going to be on the field.
Yeah, I think that's what good teams are made of, and I think that's what we're trying to breed here, and that's what, you can see it on the field today. You can see it throughout offseason. You could see it coming into the end of last year. You could see that kind of building up. And that's just, like I said, that's just what good teams do, and we're going to continue to build on that for the rest of the year.
Seemed like there's a little bit of an edge out here at practice today, like both sides, but like a healthy competition. Is there a difference between last year and this year?
I wouldn't say a difference. I mean, I think we were just as, energetic as we are this year. I think we got our feet under us a little bit. We kind of figured out where everyone fits. We got new guys that are going to come in here and help us. So it's just healthy competition, and that's what just makes good teams better.
I know McMillan didn't practice today, but what have you seen from T-Mac so far this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, he's a dog. Big body, long arms. I mean, he can go get it, great hands. I mean, he's the full package for sure, and he's going to be really good for us this year.
You guys might be the biggest wide receiver group in the NFL, by the way. It's like with like your size, X's size, and then also a T-Mac coming in as well. Like, you guys aren't a small group. You guys definitely could be physical out there. And how much of an advantage is that against other defensive backs that might be my height, 5'10"?
Yeah, I think it just gives us, that little bit of edge on those 50-50 contested catches. We're going to come down with those every time. And then, just the height factor, I mean, we can go up and get it. All of us are athletic. All of us are tall. So, I mean, it just makes it that much harder.
The way things finished for you all last season on such a high note, how much does that carry into this year, and just not only just carry into this year momentum-wise, but just raising your expectations for next year?
Absolutely. I mean, we know that we were better than our record last year, and we're going to work – everyone on the team is going to work to get us to the playoffs this year. Everyone's saying Super Bowl. Like, that's not something that we're not thinking about. We want to be a winning team this year. We want to win the division, and we want to, make a name for ourselves. And that's all going to start right here, right now.
Who drives that culture? I mean, obviously it comes from everyone individually, but who really leads that charge?
I mean, Bryce, Chuba, Corb. I mean, all those big guys that are in there, they're the voice. They push it at them. I mean, they're in there getting us up, young guys, and then same with the other vets. They're bringing them up and getting them out there. JC, of course. I mean, it's just kind of like you said, individually, everyone is a collective group that wants to get better.
So coming into this year, you have all your offensive line back. You're back, XL's back, Adam's back, Bryce is back, JT's back, David Moore's back, Tommy Tremble's back, Chuba's back,
absolutely,
Raheem Blackshear's back. There's so much continuity on the offensive side of things. How much of an advantage is it for you guys just to basically pick up where you guys left off last year?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we get to build from where we were last year. I mean, and whether that's, chemistry, scheme, however that is, we get to just get that more in depth, and we know it so much better, so we can execute that much faster, that much quicker. And, if stuff happens, we know how to react to that quickly without having to think too much.
All right, final thing here for you. We've seen XL doing stuff with Gorilla. What celebrity should we expect you to be out there with?
Nobody.
Nobody.
No, I love my girlfriend, Jenna McCarthy, and there
fine.
will be no artists with me anytime soon.
All right, that's fair. I respect that. Jalen Coker, thanks for your time, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Big thanks to Jalen Coker for joining us and giving us his time. Also, big thanks to the Carolina Panthers for help setting that up as well, and also allowing us to come down to minicamp, Chris. One more day of minicamp. Obviously, that's going to be Thursday. People are going to be watching this then. I hope, again, knock on wood, that everyone stays healthy, everyone's good and clean coming out. One thing we haven't talked about really, Chris, is that, everyone's there. Even Nick Scorton is there. Even though Nick Scorton, the second-round pick out of Texas A&M, hasn't signed his rookie contract, that he's still there practicing. He's still doing everything he needs to do out there on the field. It's hard to get a good gauge on edge rushers and the front, just because, again, no pads, no contact. So, it's kind of hard to tell. But the fact that everyone's there, everyone's working together, it excites me, Chris. You don't have any of the drama that some of these other teams might be dealing with guys holding out or whatever it might be. You're not dealing with any of that.
It does feel like it feels like maybe a page has turned, and that there are guys there who are legit excited to be Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
I think about, you mentioned the edge rushers. We heard from Princely Uman-Mielen also on Wednesday. He sounds excited to be a Carolina Panther. On Tuesday, we heard from Adam Thielen, who said Bryce Young is one of the biggest reasons why he's even back, and to hear that, from him, these guys are excited to be in Charlotte. They feel like they can come to Charlotte and make an impact. These aren't just guys who are just like, look, this was the team that's offering. I signed.
Yeah.
I'm here to do my job.
Here to
Feels like guys are there for a purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that the Carolina Panthers have been missing for a long time. That's purpose. And when you have no purpose, you're not going to go anywhere. That's a life lesson for everybody out there as well.
Yeah, dude,
but that's also a big time team lesson. You got to make sure you have a purpose. And I would say towards the end of the Matt Rule tenure there, all of Frank Reich's tenure, and maybe part of Dave Canales' beginning last year, it felt like the guys in the locker room did not have a purpose. This isn't on the coaches, right? It's really on, like, how are the players stepping up to the plate and what they feel like they can do with that jersey on. And it feels like now mostly everybody in that locker room, if not all of them, have some sort of purpose.
Yeah. Couldn't say any better, Chris. And we have a purpose, and that's being here for you, the wonderful people. So leave, again, your thoughts down in the comments section down below. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who's going to make the biggest step up this upcoming season, you feel, for the Carolina Panthers? Chris, I'm going to go put some aloe on my face. I'm just going to cut that off right there.
No, I wasn't going to take it there. I wasn't.
No, okay. You know what?
You do need to put. I mean, that's. I'm not going to mess with the moisturizing. You gotta moisturize your face.
No, fully moisturizing over here. Now I'm going to cut this off. Until next time, y'all be good.